There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
Yeah, a little Boston for Jesse, make him feel a little homesick. Yeah, well, maybe you heard of Boston, you youngin'. How old are you, Jesse?
26.
26, young man, inspired. What's your history on this? I mean, you got involved in care and have the ability to go down and resources and want to because of what?
Like I said, because of interest. I'm originally from northern Ontario, from Canada, from the mining communities up north. And was interested in sort of the effects of Canadian mining companies down in El Salvador, and that's how I originally got into Central America, and saw some inspiring movements here for trying to get a say in their own affairs.
Okay, let's focus on that a little bit. Now, that's a unique perspective, right where I want to drill in. You have Canada, and whether it's a government or not, I'm sure they got some friends in government, and they're a big industry, and go down there and throw your weight around a little bit and wear your shiny tie and tell them what's what. But you have a Canadian company that does mining. Canada has a lot of resources, and they say, you know what, we can go down to Honduras. So they go down to Honduras, and they negotiate with somebody. I guarantee you they're not going to some local tribesman and say, hey, can we get a blessing from your medicine man for us to go over here and take your stuff? They're going, no. They need to find some, big guy, with bars on his shoulders or a special hat or a title. And they say, hey, we want to rape and pillage and develop and whatever the heck they want to call it. Where do we sign? So they're negotiating a deal with the government to get access to whatever, and instead of it being to people that own the property or indigenous peoples that have claim to that for thousands of years or whatever, nope, they're going to go to the central plan of the Honduran government, and they're going to say, this is what we want to do, make it happen, and oh, by the way, here's some escort services for you, okay? So, tell me where I'm wrong. Now, that's what happens, right?
Yeah, so then the question is, what happens if there is no government? Do they just go straight in? Do they hire a private army and just move in without the reason why they have to negotiate with the government is because the government's the only one with a force that could stop them. Correct me where I'm wrong, because you're not starting from zero here. I mean, there's armed private security firms in this country. There's gangs for hire. There's all kinds of forces that can come in and use coercive violence to meet people's ends.
This is exactly
in the absence of a government.
This is exactly my point. They have the absence of a government in Afghanistan, and the local tribesmen and Taliban or whatever saying, you're not doing anything without our permission. Oh, and in Honduras, we know the jungle. So they need to have it. They'll give you the impression that you need to have the central government to protect you, because if you don't, we'll go in and lay waste to the the indigenous peoples and so on. They go, okay, they go lay waste. They do. Some people die. They take over. Nobody does anything. So they go, okay, we have a central plan and a government to do it, and then it happens anyway, with the sanction of them. And if you do resist, then you have a government of Honduras saying it's illegal to, and they go around killing you there too. So I'm going, I understand your point. I'm just throughout history, you need to, I don't want to say you're not old. I mean, of course you probably understand more there than I do, but I'm just, if you study history and you look back and you're sincere in looking for a solution, you find that it is always detrimental to the local people by putting somebody in charge over them, no matter what the promise is. They always promise to protect you. They always promise to defend your rights. They always promise to repel the foreign invader. They always promise that, but every single time, it's exactly the opposite. And when you find a situation that doesn't happen, let me know.
All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate what you're saying. And I don't think there's anybody here that would disagree with you, that would say, no, I really want some sort of overlord using the threat or actual use of coercive violence to tell me what to do and to steal my resources, et cetera, or to sanction the stealing of my resources by others.
Exactly.
I don't think that's what anybody's going for. So, your question is whether or not people are misleading themselves. in terms of what they're asking for. So I'll give you an example. So here's an example. There's a major land conflict going on here in Honduras. It's in a region called the Iguan Valley. It's probably one of the most fertile valleys you could ever imagine.
There's a what going on? What'd you call it? A what is going on?
A land conflict, a really bloody land conflict.
Okay,
and in the past, since the coup, it's been going on for longer than the coup, but since the coup, there's been over 40 organized farmers that have been assassinated there. Anyways, the land is so fertile that, one of the farmers once told me that if you planted a television here, that by tomorrow you'd have 5 of them. And the thing is that land, because it's so valuable, because it's so fertile, and mostly being used for the production of palm oil for export, for biofuels and other reasons, is that in the absence of some sort of organized group defending the interests of the farmers, then you've got, major corporations coming in with huge armies of private security guards. This is what's going on right now in the post-coup power vacuum, where there's no entity defending the interests of the unarmed farmers. They're just getting obliterated. So let me ask you this. So let
me ask you this: the farmers, if they haven't already or plan to, or they feel they're prevented from defending their own land themselves. With these foreign interests, if they couldn't handle them, they're calling the Honduran government to go get them?
So here's the thing. So if those farmers organize, arm themselves, and find a way to govern themselves, isn't that now a government? Isn't that now this coercive authority that we're supposed to be scared of?
At what
point does it become a government?
When you're not allowed to leave it. When if I want to voluntarily join forces in a temporary voluntary alliance with my neighbors to have some kind of mutually beneficial interest of doing whatever, fine. It's the second when they say, oh, and you're not allowed to leave. Oh, and we're going to take this power to take a portion of your stuff to fund us, keep doing what we want. Oh, and if you do try and leave, we're going to kill you. Or if you even have the ability to defend yourself, we're going to take it away. It's always coercive. It's always when you're not allowed to leave, when you're not allowed to disband, when you're not allowed. I want to make sure that I'm looking. What's going to happen is going to happen. It doesn't matter. I just know if you want to see what the future is going to be for Honduras, you only need to see the foundational document or philosophy that they build it on. From the beginning, did they grant the sovereign immunity of whatever this government thing is? How are they going to be held responsible? What are the limits to their power? Here in the United States, we were very successful because we had all these limits, and over the centuries, they just eroded it away to where there are no limits. It just keeps getting worse. So I'm going, all right, so in Honduras, I already know the answer to the question without even knowing it. The big, overwhelming request that there be in this new whatever document, they're going to have things like health care, are they not?
Oh, I think most definitely.
Yep.
I think absolutely that's guaranteed.
And I'm willing to, if you're going to have a government, it's like New Zealand, man. They had all that. They started dismantling their socialist government about a decade ago, and then they started coming back, but they had big explosion in the economy. They had economic growth going crazy. It was great, wonderful, but they decided, we're going to keep this national health care thing. We all like that. So I'm like, all right, whatever, But the thing is that, and what else do they want? Do they want to, like, the resources, the profits from mines and oil and development be distributed amongst the people? They get a check or something?
I don't know. Those sorts of details haven't been worked out. People have been too busy fighting for the concept to really take time to bring everybody together and iron out that sorts of things. But certainly there's talk about redistribution. I mean, these people are coming out of decades whereby the richest in the country have paid no taxes. For example, fast food in the country, which is everywhere, Pizza Hut, Popeyes, Chili's, everything, they don't pay taxes because they're considered a tourism draw. They found a loophole, the oligarchs here found a loophole, so they don't pay a single dollar in taxes, yet everybody, the entire poor 80% of the country is all paying taxes on a daily basis. So absolutely there's people here talking about redistribution because they're not starting from zero. You're starting from a state where 10 to 15 families have essentially been able to get together all the resources and have benefited from years and years and years of domination. So redistribution is certainly part of what people are really
and this is what usually happens, and this is one thing that the advantage of the people that are in power, that do benefit from being in power and don't have to, give up their goodies. What happens is exactly this. You have so many people that are so desperate, and you become a target, and you're a lot better off advocating for a country that democratizes horizontal structure of power down to the individual and allow them to rise up, allow them to start businesses, allow them not to have to get permission, allow them to keep the fruits of their labor, allow it, then you don't become the bad guy and everybody prospers much more equally according to their abilities. So I'm going, this is, we're going to keep an eye on Honduras. You stay in touch with us, and we're going to be sending you some information for you to share and whatever, and stay in touch with us because we're going to want to have you back as this evolves. Do you mind, Jesse?
I would love to.
That was my pleasure. Jesse Freeston. This is a gentleman, you can get his work on therealnews.com. Somebody, a Viking on the ground, towering above the people in Honduras. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.